I'm Joy Banfield, AccuQuilt's Chief of Staff, and welcome to today's show called Spread Your Wings. We are so excited for the relaunch of our soaring die, the Go Goose Tracks die. Today we'll be sharing new inspiration using the die with help from experts Barbara Harper and Maryanne Fontana. And we also have a special guest, Barbara Brackman, who will be joining us in a little bit. But let me first introduce you to our flying mother geese, Pam and Erica.
Our titles change every week.
Every week.
Quilters, we are super excited. This die is now part of our permanent collection.
The Go Goose Tracks die is the perfect die for getting your quilting on the right track.
That's right. And we are always looking to bring you innovative products that help you create quilt blocks. Using the AccuQuilt dies makes creating time-consuming blocks and shapes fast and easy so you can get back to sewing. Speaking of which, I'm going to go for a second.
There you go.
Ladies have a great time. I'm going to go greet our guests.
All right,
Thank you.
Sounds great. All right, quilters, let's not wait any longer. Here's a look at our now permanent Go Goose Tracks die. Get ready to discover why the classic Goose Tracks quilt block has been a favorite of quilters for generations with the Go Goose Tracks block on board or bob die. AccuQuilt made it simple and easy to make this traditional block. This handy die cuts all the pieces you need to create this 9-inch finished block in just one pass through any Go cutter. But there's so much more to love about this die. The 14 shapes on this innovative die feature specialized dog ears to make fitting the pieces together for perfect points a breeze. Screen printed letters make it easy to keep track of your pieces. The Goose Tracks block is traditionally made with inset pieces, also known as Y seams. However, AccuQuilt's block on board die eliminates the need for that, making it a block that even beginning quilters can master with ease. Your creativity will soar with this die. Try it with traditional or reproduction fabric, or go for a new look with fresh, modern fabrics and bold solids. Try it on point with AccuQuilt's 9-inch setting triangles die. Pair it up with the Go cubes or other bob dies to keep the new looks coming. Use it to create quilts, wall hangings, and more. It's destined to leave its mark or tracks on your heart. Because at AccuQuilt, we want to help you cut time so you can quilt more. Quilters, we have a bundle and special offers available for the relaunch of this die. To get your order in during the show, use your phone's camera to capture the QR code and it will take you directly to the site.
And if you don't have a QR reader, just open a new tab in your browser. Type in accuquilt.com/party to see those bundles and place your order. That way you're not going to miss a minute of the show.
Okay, Darlene, we have the individual Go Goose Tracks die. It is valued at $110, but you can get it today for $89.99, saving you $20.
But we also have the Go Soaring 9-inch block on board die bundle. This is a great bundle. You're going to get that Go Goose Tracks die, which finishes at 9 inches, but also one of my all-time favorite dies, the Glorified 9 patch and the Lemoyne Star. Since they all finish at 9 inches, you're also going to get the Go Big Square 9.5-inch cut that finishes at 9 inches. This bundle is valued at $370, but you can get it today for just $274.99, saving you over $94. Now, quilters, keep in mind you need a Go Big fabric cutter to cut the Go Big 9-inch finished square. So you need to have a cutter with a power cord and not a handle.
There you go. Quilters, if you already have the Go Goose Tracks die, we have you covered. When your order reaches $100 or more, use the promo code SAVEMY40 to take 40% off your order. Some exclusions apply. Check the website for details.
And when your order reaches $400 or more, you will receive, get this, a free Go Me fabric cutter starter set. No code is needed at checkout to redeem this offer.
So will this Goose Tracks die fit in that Go Me?
It will indeed.
There you go. You can also find our products at your local AccuQuilt retailer. To find the retailer closest to you, check out the store locator at the top of the page at accuquilt.com.
You can quilt now and pay later. For more information on financing through AccuQuilt, visit accuquilt.com/financing.
I love that. All right, now to get our show started, okay, one of our all-time favorite people.
Oh, yes.
She's terrific. We have special guest, Barbara Brackman, joining us. Barbara is an independent researcher and a quilt historian who has published many books about quilts and quilt history.
She is a total quilting rock star.
She is.
She is one of the founding members of the American Quilt Study Group and a blogger. She is here to teach us all about the history of the Go Goose Tracks block, and I could listen to Barbara all day long.
Here we go.
Let's see.
Well, hi, thanks for having me. You know, I love talking about quilt history, and you're the perfect place to do it. So today I'm going to talk about your new die, Goose Tracks, and it's one of my favorite patterns. Not an easy pattern to do unless you have an AccuQuilt cutter, though, because I always have a hard time getting those diamonds to be perfect, or parallelograms. But anyway, it's an old pattern, over 100 years old, and I've been tracking it, looking through examples that I have of quilts that were pieced in the design and also in the newspapers that printed the patterns and what they called it. And pretty much Goose Tracks, which is what you guys are calling it, is the standard name. As in my encyclopedia of piece quilt patterns, you know, I have to have everything in order, all my ducks and geese in a row. And there are 3 different shading variations in there. And if you look at the bottom, you can see how many names there are. Some of them I think are never used. You know, no one ever calls it Italian beauty. But Goose Tracks, dove at the window, maybe crow's foot or duck's foot, sometimes you hear it called. So the earliest that I have found it published was in the Ladies Art Company catalog, and they had a catalog of 400 patterns, and this was one of their early ones. We're not real sure when that catalog began, but about 1890, towards the end of the last century. And a magazine called Hearth and Home copied it and called it Dove at the Crossroads, which is an interesting way to look at that center piece. And here we have it down at the bottom on the left from Comfort, and they called it Goose Tracks, but their proportions a little different. And you will see that proportions do differ, with a wider center and a narrower center. And I decided I would see how long people had been making this pattern. So these are some of my older versions of the pattern. All my examples all look to be after 1880 or 90, about the time the catalog started publishing and selling that pattern for a dime. And that's very interesting. Now behind me, I've got the closest thing I have to a Goose Tracks quilt. It's a different variation. It's squares and triangles and rectangles. And it's a little less sophisticated, you don't get as many variations, and it's certainly easier to piece. So I think this one with the diamonds really was some magazine illustrator's idea of an improvement on the quilt behind me. And it certainly is visually. And I've got several examples here, all from the 1890s. And now the oldest one I could find actually listed on the internet, which of course you should never believe unless it's me. The Family Story, the Smithsonian has this one, and they've been collecting quilts for 100 years, and they just take the family story, and this was given to them in 1965. And the woman who gave it said it was a family quilt, and she thought that it was made before the Civil War ended. But now we're smarter. We have seen many more quilts, and we can look at the style and the fabrics and say there's no way that is an 1865 quilt. So once again, by looking at the fabric and the style, once again, we have to think this is another 1890 or later quilt. Just things like that shirting print, the little speckled print in the sashing. You just don't see that in 1865. People did not use it like that.
Okay. First of all, I love that block that's set on point with the 9 patch.
Yes.
I just think that's so clever.
I just love learning all about this.
Okay, she just knows all the things. All right, quilters, we're so glad you voted for our Goose Tracks die to become part of our permanent collection.
We truly are. The Go Goose Tracks is a block on board or a bob die, and it's specifically designed to cut one 4-color, 9-inch finished block in just one pass through the cutter. Now the die fits through all of our cutters, as we said, including the Go Me, and it quickly provides you with the 14 shapes that would be very time consuming, as Barbara pointed out, to cut by hand.
Right, and we're gonna show you how this works in just just a few minutes, but let's get back to Barbara Brackman to hear more about the history of the Goose Tracks block.
So I consider an excellent example of commercial art rather than folk art. And when I talk about folk art, it's always vague, but I mean rather than handed around by people, quilters, hand to hand, it was sold. It was designed by someone who was interested in selling quilt patterns, and she sold it. And I think she did an excellent job because people really liked it. And I have tons of pictures. I'm only showing you a few. I also collect quilts that have the date actually written on them. So the blue and red one down in the corner there, it says 1900. I can't read the woman's name, but I definitely can read the date of 1900. And that's just one block. She didn't get very far. If she'd had an acute quilt cutter, she might have gotten her diamonds to lay flatter. But the 1889 one in the top left is the oldest I found. And again, that just fits in with what the quilts look like. And then people got that catalog of 400 patterns and they decided they'd make one in every pattern. That may have happened to you. It happened to me once too. I thought, well, how hard could it be? And then what you do is you make a sampler out of it. So in 1898, Aunt Amy made a sampler. And down at the bottom in sort of the center is one of these Goose Tracks. So I'm just going to show you a few of these old ones. I love collecting them because they show you different ways of looking at the pattern. And I love the one down at the bottom in the center with the fence rail or zigzag set. And that's real easy to set if you have the right size triangle there. And you just set it in strips with big triangles. And then what we say in the fabric business, you half drop it. You don't repeat the blocks straight across, you drop them by half, and you get the zigzag or fence rail effect. Now, when I was looking at old quilts, I found the one on the left, and I realized it is the Goose Tracks pattern. But when you set them side by side, especially if you make the center strip bright red, you're going to get a different pattern. This one over here does not look at all like Goose Tracks, but it's cool and might be some ideas for shading. So think about an all over set. And then remember that whatever those bars in the center are going to be, they're really going to catch your eye. So here's a few sets. And I'm going to put this on my blog. I have a blog at Barbara Brackman at blogspot.com. And I love showing quilt patterns. And so I'll put all these pictures up there so you don't have to be madly sketching. And if I were going to do it, I'd do it scrappy. I love the one down in the lower right-hand corner that's blue and yellow. I think that's probably from the 60s or maybe the 70s even. But I would just get my cutter and start cutting bright fabrics. I've set it here, in my virtual quilt with an alternate plain block. I want to show you that Scrappy guy down in there. Apparently there was a cartoon called Scrappy in the 30s. And so I've been trying to save up pictures because Scrappy himself evolved. And thank goodness his dog did too. I've never seen a dog that looked like that with a beard like that. But Scrappy is what I'm interested in now. And it's up to you to choose shadings and settings and looks. And I love talking about them. So thanks for having me.
Okay, that whole concept of a scrappy block.
Right.
I think you said it. We should just make scrappy blocks and not put those squares between them and see what it looks like. And I'm totally down for that.
I love what she called the zigzag or the offset or the...
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
That was a fabulous look. I love that too.
Yeah.
Again,
And
setting triangles.
the quilt behind Barbara was bear spot, and yes, there's a die for that.
That's
I bet
true.
you could use Save My 40 and get you one.
I bet you could.
It was so interesting to hear about the history of the Goose Tracks block, and a huge shout out to our good friend, Barbara Brackman.
That's right. And you can purchase Barbara's Block Base Plus software on our website.
Lauren said so.
Yes, we checked.
Lauren and Michelle, we have a live audience today.
We do.
Huge
They're
shout
here.
out to our team who is here. All right, should we talk about this die?
Yes. Now, our die makes it easier than ever to make this block. So we want to take a closer look at it, show you how it works, because it has all the shapes.
Yes.
The 1/4-inch seam allowance is included.
Right.
We've got specialized dog ears so that they're going to fit together, and you're going to know that they're fitting together correctly, right?
Right. And these are the petals from the flower area, and here's the background. Here's those half square triangles, and the cornerstone.
It's in the center.
That's in the center of the
Yeah.
block. Now, traditionally, this block would have a Y seam.
That's right.
We have none Y seams.
That's right.
No.
So the die is designed so that you don't have to make that Y seam. So we want to cut one and show you kind of how that goes together.
And maybe tonight I'm going to cut a scrappy one for tomorrow's show.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
Sorry.
inspired.
Sorry, I need to work
You
right
have
now.
to stay here right now, though.
Okay. Okay, so it cuts a 4-color block in one pass through the cutter.
Right.
So what I've done is here's our background pieces, and we can always cut 6 layers. We're just going to cut, I don't know, 3 or so, 2 or 3. I don't know, whatever I felt like I was doing here.
She's such a free spirit, our
I
Pam.
really kind of am. Okay, and then here's our flower petals. So let's do 2 colors. All right.
Yes.
And we actually have one that's sewn together, and we'll show you
We
how
really
it all
do. We have a real one.
really works together.
We want to show you how it goes because it really, and it's not a hard block.
It is not.
This is a just follow the directions and sew a good 1/4-inch seam and you're good to go.
Okay, we're going to use our Go Big today. How come, Erica?
Because it's here and we can.
We can. Actually, we could run 2 Goose Tracks
We
dies
could.
in one
We
pass.
could. We could have a lot done in
We
a
could
hurry
do all
with
the
that.
scrappiness. But this will fit through your GoMe, so spend $400 today. We'll send you a free GoMe.
That's right. We'll gently
all
and
work.
lovingly place it in your box with
Yeah.
all your other goodies.
Our team. All right, we're moving the fabric we're giving away here.
Oh, wait till you see
Wait
that.
till you see. Okay, give it some love. We're gonna slide, don't lift, because boys, it's staticky in the dream studio today. So Erica, I think you have a block over there that's finished.
I do. Let's
lay
see.
one out and show 'em
So
how to-
here's that partial block. So
Yep.
it's put together, the block is put together with 4 units of these diamond units. And then there is what's in like internal sashing and an internal cornerstone in the center.
And these are mirrored shapes.
Yes.
Make sure you lay them out that way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
let's
here,
lay one
build,
out.
Here, we'll build a block.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a show called that, right? Build a block. Okay, so here's our centers. And when I did this, I chain pieced all the lefts, and then I chain pieced all the rights.
That's right.
There is wisdom in that.
There is.
Okay, and these are shape E, and I left my pieces on here
Yes.
so that I knew which was shape E and F and so forth. And we're going to put those
Because
right
it makes
there.
a difference. So if you go to lay your pieces out and they're not lining up correctly, see what Pam's doing here? She's laying it out to make sure the dog ears are going to match so that she knows that's how that piece goes.
Right.
You want to make sure that you're getting you're getting them sewn on correctly.
Right.
And then there are different half square triangles that form that center. So basically, you're going to sew this side and this side. So you'll do your diamond with a half square, diamond with a half square, diamond with a half square over here, and the same thing over here. Then put those 2 halves together, and then you will sew this half square triangle on the bottom. Now,
Right.
don't think it doesn't line up. There's seam allowances in here,
Yes.
right?
And we, the good people at AccuQuilt, you and I, being the good people at AccuQuilt, we made a whole video.
We
on
did.
how to sew this block together.
We did.
Okay. Yep.
I'm just going to lay this
Yep.
out,
And then there's our little
and there's our
cornerstone.
cornerstone.
Isn't that super cool?
And you can get a completely different look if you take this block from the way it traditionally is and turn it around
Yes.
or have it pointing different ways. There's so much you can do with this. It's really a versatile die.
Okay, so when you make your scrappy blocks, quilters, all of this is going to be different, plus these are going to be different.
Yes.
So the white that it is here that's still going to stay white.
Right.
The outer ones. Okay, so make you some scrappy blocks.
Or that's
oh, here,
or
you
so,
need that.
so Pam says, yes, I need that for later.
I'm going to go home and cut me one. I'm going to see. I have this
know,
die.
I know. All right, quilters, now that you've seen the die in action and we've come up with a million ideas, we're going to introduce you to our experts. Now, we challenge both of them to create patterns using the Flying Geese and the Go Goose Tracks die.
Flying Goose is great.
Yes.
First, we have Barbara Harper. Barbara is a quilter, a seamstress, a teacher who has made hundreds of quilts and has owned her AccuQuilt Go for over 10 years. She credits much of her award-winning success to the accurate cuts her system provides. Barbara began sewing as a child with her grandmother. Our grandchildren will be able to say that.
Yes, they
and
will.
enjoys creating quilts for special people in her life.
Now next up we have Maryanne Fontana. Maryanne is a self-taught sewer, quilter, and textile artist. She started her sewing journey at the young age of 8, and although sewing's always been a part of her life, her love of quilting has grown over the years into a full-time passion. We resemble that.
We do.
So prior to AccuQuilt, Maryanne says she could only make 3 to 4 quilts a year, but now she can create dozens of beautiful large quilts, mini quilts, and smaller size wall hangings.
There we go. All right, I can't wait to see what our experts will create for us. But in the meantime, I have this brilliant idea.
Let me guess, we should give away a Go Goose Tracks die to one of our registrants.
Look at you reading my mind. That means one registered viewer will get our newest permanent die just for registering for today's event.
I think that's a fantastic idea. All right, the lucky winner of a Go Goose Tracks die is, drum roll please, Marilyn W. of La Quinta in California.
There we go. Congratulations. Good job. She's going to love it.
She is. All right, now it's time to check out what our first expert has come up with. They are so wonderful. Barbara, what inspiration do you have for us today?
Thanks, Erica. Thanks, Pam. There's a lot flying around in my neighborhood, a lot of flying geese and a lot of goose tracks. So I just want to remind you of what I kind of made last time when it first released. Remind you that you can make so many other things than just the goose track. I made some small carpenter stars, some small Lemoyne stars. This one here is a table topper. I used the Arkansas Traveler. I made some little medallions to go in the corner of it. Very contemporary looking. You can make the blocks larger or smaller and pair them with bobs. Today I'm working with the flying geese, and this is the one that comes, if you got to go big, you've already got it, so you just need the goose track die. Right here, I call this one tumbling tracks. It's simply this little corner unit, and I put sashing around it. I use these real vibrant colors, and I had some scrap fabric that I found that the colors went really well with it, but I was about 3 inches too short to make it be the backing. So I grabbed my flying geese die, and I'm making a border or a strip to go down the back of this beautiful backing, and then I'll have enough for my backing. I'm also using the flying geese. This is out of the 6-inch cube for my binding on my quilt. Yes, binding. There they are, little flying geese, and I think it's really going to complement it when it gets put on there, and use that as a border. One other thing I was working on is I drew up, and I thought this would be very pretty for like a border around a panel. To me, they look like little flowers. Here, I put 2 3/4 inch strips on the side of each of these little units, and that makes it a perfect 6-inch finished block. And we do have a 2 3/4 inch strip die that you can do that with. In here you can see since I have 6-inch blocks, I went to my 6-inch setting triangles. I put in some little flying geese, and then I'm going to applique on some little stems. Now my sister came over and she said, "Hey, those look just like martinis." And I thought, well, yeah, they look more like martinis than they do flowers. So I went and made myself a gigantic martini. So I'm gonna drink this and work on my project for coming up.
Okay,
I feel
now,
like she's going to sew wonky.
that's a martini.
I love that. Okay, now, we have to do a little full disclosure here.
Yeah.
So last week on Thursday, we had the chance to watch Barbara's presentation before the show. And so I made a block,
Right.
a single block like Barbara talked about, and then she talked about our 2 3/4 inch strip die, and these pieces are cut from the 2
Yes.
3/4 inch strips. And that's part of the Save My 40. So Eric and I had to do math.
Yes, on a Friday then?
Yeah, in the afternoon.
And it wasn't pretty.
It wasn't pretty, but it did work.
It did work.
So if you take that 2 3/4 inch strip and you're going to measure this and sew this piece here,
Press
and
it
then
open.
press it open, and bring it here, it is actually going to make a 6-inch finished block.
Yes.
Which will work perfectly with your 6-inch cube, your 12-inch cube, and so forth. And I thought that was brilliant.
I did too.
Because
it's such a sweet little block just by itself.
it is. And then she added, you know, the sides and the cornerstones and such. So this would be just a sweet little, I feel like you could just make a little table runner for spring or for Mother's Day or whatever. So 2 3/4 is the magic number, and it did work.
Yes, and the 6-inch setting triangles.
6-inch setting triangles. There you go.
All right.
Thanks
So we
to Barbara
checked,
for
it
doing
did
math.
work.
Yeah, we did.
All right, quilters. Now, if you're not already, make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms.
We'd love to share your stories, quilt some more. Be sure to also share behind the scenes videos on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. You'll see our studio audience when this one is shown.
That's right. That's right. Now, you definitely don't want to miss out on those because they're a lot of fun.
They are. All right, let's check in with our second expert, Maryanne. What sort of inspiration do you have using the Go Goose Tracks die?
Pam and Erica, thank you again for having me. It's always a pleasure. Well, I've been flying around my studio working on new ideas for the Goose Track die. The last challenge was using a cube, and now we're told we have to use flying geese. So, what did I do? Let's look at, first of all, I decided to do a block. All right, this is a block with flying geese. This is called Yankee Puzzle. It is all the same block. They are all flying geese. The only thing I did was change the colors. They're sewn exactly together. Now, when you make this block, you have to be aware that it is what I call a 4x4 or a 16 patch. It's not a 9 patch. Don't make the mistake I did. I tested a few of the blocks, and I did really great on the first one, and I sewed one out, and I said, oh, this works really good. And then I went, forgot what I was doing, made a second one, and I used the 6-inch cube, and guess what? It's too small. I thought I was making a 9 patch. Don't make the same mistake I did. You need a 9-inch cube to make the Yankee Puzzle with 4 across, and it's the shape 5. All the same. Isn't that fun? Now, the other thing that's kind of cool is the way you place it on the quilt. Here is that Yankee Puzzle, the one design I just showed you that I did. This is the same Yankee Puzzle. These are both on point. Yeah, let's go. The difference is I put no squares in between this one, and this one has 9-inch squares, and they have setting triangles. Otherwise, it is pretty much the same design. It's the Yankee Puzzle design. And if I change the colors, it looks totally different. So the next thing I did is I said, okay, so I can make it into a block. What if I take the flying geese separately and make them into strips? So here it is. I've sewn 6 of the flying geese together to make a strip, and this is finishing at 9-inch. I used a 3-inch finished strip on either side of it, and here I just placed it. This is straight a grain. These are not on point or anything, just place them, and I put these as blocks and moved the position of them. The thing was the same thing. All I did was rotate them. In this view here, it is still the same block, even though I just reoriented, and these are now on point, so the points go diagonally. So that makes a major difference in the way the flying geese look. So the last thing I wanted to show you, I said, well, what if I do it in strips? So I'm going to go down to the design board. I want to show you 1 or 2 ideas I had with strips, which then helped me figure out how to do my final challenge. So let's go down to the design board real quick. Here is the 9-inch finished Goose Tracks block. And I always like to make a block rather than just playing on the EQ8 all the time. And the first thing I did is, let me see if I can do a border. And I made flying geese using the 6-inch cube shapes 4 and 5. And if you sew 2 together, it makes a 3x3-inch finished square. So what if I do a strip? So I really like the idea of putting these strips down here as a board. I said, oh, that looks really nice. And then if I go ahead and put some setting corners in, I said, oh, that'd make a really nice design. I kind of like that. So that looks pretty good. So I actually put it together on the EQ8, and this is what the block would look like finished, which would have 4 of these square on point setting corners, 6 flying geese per section around, and I could make a block. Now, if I really wanted to get fancy, I could go ahead then and turn it into a table runner And this is just an example of what it would look like in different colors. That gives me an idea of what I want to do for my final challenge and my reveal. So let me get busy, find some cool fabric, and show you what I'm going to make.
Okay, she is so clever.
I like that she turns the blocks different ways.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
it comes up with a completely different look. She also used her 9-inch cube. We'll talk about that here in just a
Yes,
second.
and the flying geese around the block gives it a totally different look.
Yeah.
All right, now quilters, we are going to ask you to vote on your favorite expert project just a little later, so make sure you don't miss their final project reveals.
And don't forget today's deals. We have the individual Go Goose Tracks die and the Go Soaring 9-inch block on board die bundle. Available with special pricing just for today. Be sure to add this die to your collection.
That's right, and if you already have the Go Goose Tracks die, no worries. Use the promo code SAVEMY40 when your order reaches $100 or more to take 40% off your order. Now, some exclusions apply for this offer, so check the website for details.
So a great day to get cubes and strip dies.
Oh, yes.
Block and boards. You could get glorified 9-patch, your all-time
You
favorite.
could. It is.
All right, so quilters, we've been talking about goose tracks, but what if your geese fly? Flying geese are one of the most popular units found in quilts, and it's also one of the most challenging to cut and sew. But AccuQuilt makes it so easy. In fact, when you purchase our Go Big electric fabric cutter, you get a bob die that makes a 3x6 flying geese with the cutter. All right, so here is our bob die.
Okay.
And it has the 2 shapes you need, quarter square triangle and half square triangle. Remember, quilters, with all of our triangles and so many of our geometric shapes, we cut off those dog ears, right?
That's
so
right.
From here to here is a perfect 1/4 inch seam.
That's right. Now, if you aren't familiar with flying geese, this is what they look like.
Yes.
So we've got one right down here.
Yes.
So there's the large quarter square triangle is what creates the center or the goose body.
Yes.
And the wings or the sides are half square triangles on either side.
Right.
So flying geese units are rectangles, and they are always going to be half as tall as they are wide.
Okay, and are we cutting one right now?
Well, we will.
Okay, we'll cut one in just a sec. That means the units will measure 3.5 by 6.5 before they're sewn into your blocks.
Right.
So they're going to finish 3 by 6. So half as tall as it is wide.
Right.
Okay. Now, because this is such a popular quilt block, we want to make sure that there were flying geese inside every single cube. Remember, each cube has the same shapes, numbered the same way, they're just different sizes.
That's right. So what does that mean? Well, it means that a flying geese from a 4-inch cube is going to finish at 1 inch by 2 inch,
So tiny.
while the one from the 6-inch cube is going to finish at 1.5 inches by 3 inches. Now, don't panic, because here's a tip and a way to remember. The flying geese unit in every cube will be the same size as the rectangle in that cube.
Sometimes we're brilliant.
We are.
Okay, that's right. And you're going to use the same 2 dies from each cube to make them. The quarter square triangle, which is shape number 4, will make that body, and the small half square triangle, which is shape number 5, will make the wings. So now let's show you how they work together.
Okay.
I just like to cut stuff.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to lay some fabric over our half square triangles and our quarter square triangle. Again, this comes with your Go Big electric, which is what we're using, but you could use it. Our 4, 6, 8, and 9-inch cubes you can use with your Go Me.
Right. And this die is available separately as well.
It is. Okay, give it some love. Slide that mat, don't lift. All right, Erica, do you want to show folks how to lay out our pieces? Because we have some tips.
We do. So you're going to start with, they're great chain piecing projects.
Yes.
So, and this is the easiest way to make flying geese. There's all kinds of complicated methods, but let me tell you, this is by far the easiest.
Right.
So you're going to lay this down so your perfect 1/4 inch seam and press your seam open. Then you're going to go back and you're going to...
And I do all my right sides.
And I do all my right sides, and then I go back and I do my left sides. And what happens, don't worry, don't panic, that's called seam allowance.
Right.
Now, when you look at it, here's our sewn one, and you see this head space here, that's your seam allowance.
Great.
So if you're sewing flying geese units together, so here's our,
This is, yep, this is from the 9-inch
this
cube.
is made from the 9-inch cube, so this is like we saw Maryanne working with. Look at what this looks like on the back. So when you sew the units together, you always want to have your peak and the top.
Yes.
And that way you can double check yourself as you're sewing your 1/4 inch to make sure that you are going just a thread above that point so that when you press it open, you have a perfect point on your flying geese.
Right. Now, Barbara talked about using flying geese for binding.
Yes, and she used the 6-inch cube. So here's an example of what the flying geese looks like from the 6-inch cube. So here's an example of what several of them together would make. And because, you know, inquiring minds want to know, if you're using this for binding, then you'd go ahead and press this in half and put this on. It would be a little bit wider binding, but look at the look you would get.
Isn't that super
Isn't
slick?
that super cool?
I love that. I love that.
I'm gonna have to try that.
I know. And with this piece, then we would go like this, right?
And when
put
you're
it down
sewing it,
here.
then it's harder to see here, but you would sew right along here so that you can see the intersection of those threads. Make sure you're just above your stitching line, finish it out. That's going to make sure that you have those perfect points
Yeah.
every single time.
Every single time.
All right, quilters, well, if you want more inspiration like what you see on our show, there are 3 new blogs posted every single week with innovative ways to use the dies you already own and maybe just inspire you to get some others. You're sure to discover something new when you subscribe to the AccuQuilt blog.
And I would bet this week on the blog there's something about, I don't know, the Goose Tracks die.
I bet there is.
I love it.
Check it out.
Okay, listen. We love to give away fabric,
Oh, we do.
but maybe
Sometimes it's hard.
Sometimes it's hard. Our good friends at Andover Fabrics are helping us make this a great launch party, providing us with 2 lovely selections of fabric. Okay, would this not make the sweetest, scrappy Goose Tracks block?
Yes, it would.
Okay, so look, here's the lavenders and the purples for you and the blues. I love
that
this
teal.
I tell ya, and that gold, it's so popular. And this is kind of that salmon color, which is really becoming popular, and hot pink. I could take this whole bundle right now and go make stuff.
I could too, and look at this bundle then. It's got all the gradation. It's like the whole rainbow. There's that peachy
And it
color.
has whites with it.
And it's got the reverse, yes. So it's got the lights and the light, medium, dark tones. It's absolutely all laid together. It's all you need to make a stunning quilt right here.
And 2 lucky ducks are gonna get, all right, we're gonna send them to you.
Yes, we are.
All right, quilters, the first winner of the Andover Fabric Selection is, drum roll please, Susan G. of Bolton, Massachusetts. Congratulations.
All right, as much as we got carried away talking about it,
Yes.
the winner of a second selection of fabric is, drum roll please, Cindy M. from Grantsburg, Wisconsin. Congratulations.
And a huge shout out to Andover Fabrics for sponsoring our today's show. I know our quilters are gonna love using this fabric to make their quilts take off our flight. Take these bundles, make scrappy blocks.
All right, quilters, Pam says, let's reveal today's final projects. I wonder what our experts have come up with.
Hardly wait.
All right, Barbara, what do you have for us?
Well, I'm back, and here is my project. It's a bar topper or a table topper that's got martini glasses on it, and I thought the flamingo went really well with it. It does have 2 sides to it. It is padded, so it's going to be nice to soak up any cold moisture that might be on your bar tabletop. I used the same idea here as I took the base unit, put 2 3/4 inch strips at the top edges to make a 6-inch finish block. And then from there, I just added elements out of my 6-inch cube. And then down here, I put a flying geese for the base of the glass. I hope you enjoy it. It was a lot of fun to make.
Okay, so fun.
So fun.
Bright pink. Can't
Love it.
ever lose with hot
Can
pink.
never go wrong with a flamingo either.
There we go. All right, Maryanne, what did you create for us?
Here is my final design, and it's actually a twofer, and I'll explain it. I call this flying around the tracks because I have the goose tracks in the middle. And I have taken those flying geese like I showed you, but instead of doing it all in a row, I did 3 facing one way and 3 facing the other with these really cool batiks. I really liked it, and I put a small border on it. I said, well, wait a minute, this looks nice, and I put all the geese this way. What if I turn them on the side and run them along, which is what I did, and I ended up with this design. And what I really liked about it is look at the way this goes around and wraps it. All I did was turn the flying geese this way and that way. I liked it so much I made the 2 projects, and I want to show you what they look like. Okay, this is what the final project looked like. I ended up with 2 different things because I couldn't decide, and I liked it so much. This is an 18-inch finished pillow, which has the flying geese going around the side, and this is the version I showed you with them put on point as well, which formed that really cool design. And I added a 3-inch border, and I serged the edge just to make it quick and easy. So I hope you like my set of my pillow cover and wall hanging called Flying Around the Tracks.
Okay, that was so clever.
Yes.
And I love how she just took the basic block and then added other blocks to the outside.
And the look of the flying geese around the corners, so clever.
So clever.
All right, I don't know how you all are
I
going
don't
to
know.
decide. Quilters voting is now open, so let us know which expert project was your favorite. If you're watching via the registration link or on YouTube, you can click on the vote box below or to the right of the chat box.
And if you're watching via Facebook, vote for the box that displays over the video.
That's right. Now, quilters, take advantage of today's deals. We've got the individual Go Goose Tracks die and the Go Soaring 9-inch block on board die bundle available with special pricing. Make sure you add this die and some others to your collection.
Absolutely. And for those of you who have the Go Goose Tracks die, you can use that promo code SAVEMY40. When your order reaches $100 or more, take 40% off your order. Some exclusions apply for this offer, so check the website for details. All right, so quilters, we know that you want the most from your dies. So let's look at some of the things you can do with your Go Goose Tracks blocks to change up your design. All right, and these are ideas to help spark your creativity with this great bob die.
Now, one thing that you can do is add sashing
Here, I'll go back
between
here.
the blocks. Okay, Pam's going to go back and demonstrate. Sashing is when you put narrow strips between blocks to separate them. This will give you an all-over different look, whether they're set on point or flat.
Right. And then talk about cornerstones, Erica, because here's the cornerstone.
Yep, and there's the cornerstone right in there. So you can do this with plain strips all around. You can break it up with cornerstones, like Pam said, which are small squares where the sashing strips intersect. So for example, if you cut your sashing with a 2-inch strip cutter, then the strip will finish at 1.5 inches in your quilt because of seam allowances.
Right.
And you would make your cornerstones also to be 2 inches by 2 inches, so they too finished at 1.5 inches.
And you and I made some great videos on how to cut strips and how to cut cornerstones and how to cut squares.
That's right.
Right?
So how about adding borders to your quilt? Well, strip dies are great for that too. So maybe you want even more than one border to really set it off. I love doing that. Like a thin border, maybe use the 1.5 inch and then a thicker one. So maybe use the 5-inch strip that's going to finish at 4.5 inches and really frame out your design.
And that's going to work, it's going to look really great with that 9-inch finished block, is that 4.5-inch strip. And I love to put wide borders on my quilts. I just think it just adds a little bit of extra, just an extra added.
Extra punch.
Yes.
It just really sets it off.
Another idea is to team up your block with another block on board die that finishes at 9 inches. Or how about your cubes? Or if you have the cube, make sure you have both of the companions. Those 3 items, the cube and companion sets, 216 blocks to choose from. So are you feeling inspired just yet?
Yeah, so you wouldn't have to use the Yankee puzzle like Maryanne did. You've got 216 then to choose from.
Yes.
Well, there's also a brand new option available for you. We have some new square dies, and one of them is the Go Big 9.5 inch, 9-inch finish square. Now, this can be made and used as a setting square in between your blocks. And we saw some examples. You'll see some in the trunk show. Now, We didn't have this die out when the Goose Tracks came out as a die to try, but it's another great way to use that die.
Right. And so how about we show them how to cut this? So
Yes.
again, you need an electric Go Big fabric
Yes.
cutter. If your cutter has a handle, you need to upgrade today because we're going to tell you
Yes.
about that in a minute. So we're going to lay I've subcut my fabric. This lengthwise grain, look, here I have I left the
is
selvage.
selvage.
So this is the lengthwise grain. It's going to be nice and tight. Ready? Look, listen. Nice
And you
tight.
want that parallel to the lengthwise blades as it goes through the cutter.
Right. And make sure you have a 14 by 16 cutting mat.
Yes, because what happens when a blade is not covered with a mat?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Absolutely nothing. So watch this. Ta-da, ta-da. This is all the hard work. So I could cut 6 9.5-inch squares, which is what I would need for a whole quilt, in one
Right.
pass through the cutter.
It's amazing.
I just think it's fabulous.
All right, but we had one other idea.
We do.
So that was to use this 9.5-inch setting square for some embroidery.
Yep. Oh, here.
All right. Oh,
So staticky.
Okay, while you get that.
There we
so
go.
let's take a look at it with our Go Bird and Birdhouse. So we have some samples of some of the embroidery that's available
Yep.
for the die to try for this month. It's the Go Bird and Birdhouse die.
And these
Look
are
at
from our good
that. Mm-hmm.
friends at V-Stitch. So these are for purchase, but we also have the free embroidery files that are that you can get the 3 stitches.
That's right. So here's one set on what it would look like, set on point, and it would fit straight on too. Either way, I really like how cute it is on
I
point.
like it on point because then you can add
another one.
little birds up here and little birds over there. There's no die police. You can add birds
That's right.
wherever you want.
Add birds wherever you want.
There you go.
So this is all from a set of paid downloadable embroidery by V-Stitch. And this one,
This one is our favorite.
it is our favorite. Not only do we love the thought of having a weather vane on a birdhouse,
Yes.
but it has baby birds, and the baby birds are made from the wing shape for the
Yes,
bird.
and it has a little embroidery around the edges
Yes. And you could add that,
Love it.
flying, birds are flying, add them with your Goose
here.
Tracks.
This is our die to try.
It is our die to try for
Only
the month of
available
April.
at AccuQuilt.com.
Only available at AccuQuilt.com, only the month of April or while supplies last. So when they're out, they're out.
Yes. All right. Sounds good.
All right, quilters, 2022 is all about covering the world one quilt at a time. Now, this is a collaborative campaign between AccuQuilt and Moda Fabrics with Baby Lock as our sponsor. Together, one person from each of our teams will be donating a quilt each week of 2022 to a charity of their choice.
Last week's donation was made by AccuQuilt go-getter Emily Bailey of Aunt M's Quilt. She is all about scrappy goodness.
She is.
Emily's quilt was made with her Forever Scrapbuster pattern. She used a strip die and half square triangles, and she donated her quilt to a charity called Quilty Hugs, which provides throw quilts to men, women, and children fighting cancer. What a wonderful donation and so meaningful, and it's beautiful. You can check out Emily's blog. It has her pattern for it if you want
Yes.
to download that pattern
That's
for her.
right. That would be a great pattern to use for
Half
this
square
campaign.
triangles. There's a die for that,
There
Erica.
is. Now, be sure to visit our website for details on how you can participate in covering the world one quilt at a time by going to learn.accuquilt.com/quilttheworld2022.
You can also follow hashtag Quilt the World 2022 on social media to see fellow quilters' donations throughout the year.
We've had so many already.
So many great ones.
Now, while we wait on the votes to come in, let's track our way into today's trunk show. Joy, what are you bringing to us to show off?
So first up, we have this beautiful garden throw quilt.
This is the Go Secret Garden Throw Quilt. It's by Ellen Alt of 3D Handmade. She used Robert Kaufman fabrics for it.
And the way that she created the design, the center for the block is on point, so it looks like it's sashing, but it's actually the center
Really
of the
part
Goose
of the
Tracks block.
Yeah, and
I like the centers too when it comes together there, how that
it's such a
creates-
different look.
It is.
You get so many secondary looks and designs.
Yep.
And the beautiful fabric on the back just goes right along with the theme.
Oh,
how
that
pretty
is
that is.
beautiful.
Love it.
All right, so the next one we're going to have is the Gold Coast Goose Tracks Throw Quilt. This is by Maryanne Fontana of Fontana Originals, and she used Hoffman fabrics for her quilt.
And I just think this is so pretty in the bright yellow and the contrast
It
with the
is.
black. It looks like, you know, bees or, you know, it's so springy, and I just think it's great.
But she really made the shapes pop with her quilting.
She did.
She's got that tight stipple in the background, which I absolutely love, but not stitching on those shapes. So it really makes them jump out of the quilt at you.
And she bordered it in flying geese,
She sure did.
which is
Was
great.
getting ready for the challenge already, wasn't she?
There we go.
There's the stippling you can see on
Oh,
the
you can
back.
really see it.
Love it.
So pretty.
Very pretty.
Good job, Maryanne.
All right, next we've got the Go Lavender on the Trellis Throw Quilt. This is by Bea Lee of Be a Quilter.
And this is the project we're going to make tomorrow. I'm going to show you how to make the Goose Tracks block. And then this is like an old
It's kind of like a modified shoe fly.
shoe fly.
Yeah.
Yep. And I love the colors of this and the fact that she had those two borders in between. But it's just so pretty.
I love the lavender.
I
It's
do
just
too. It's such a
so-
soft look.
Yeah.
And the lavender and the grays go so well together.
And speaking of the gray on the back,
Yes.
look at that with the
And look at that beautiful quilt.
beautiful quilt.
Oh, that's so pretty. And there are the flowers for the trellis.
And Erica could just take it home to her new
could.
house.
I could. All right, next up we have Go Geometric Tiles Throw Quilt. Now this is by Stephanie Jacobson of Steph Jacobson Designs. And this is so cool. We do love teal.
And Steph is local, and we'd love to get a shout out to her. She's very much a modern quilter, and you can tell by this block. But again, she did that same thing that we saw in the beginning, right? Where she turned the blocks in instead of out, and it gives it a whole different dimension.
Well, I like how she did this, the corners give you that partial block look.
Right.
So here's our block right here.
Right.
Yeah. But when you first look at it,
when you first look at it, you see this as a separate unit. It's
Right.
so cool.
Yeah, she did a great job.
and the quilting on this one is
Quilting
just
is
gorgeous.
stunning.
The orange
This
peel.
orange peel quilting is, Stephanie, will you quilt my next quilt
it.
for me?
Yes. We should have Steph on our show one day. Steph, if you're watching, we'll have you on a Wednesday.
That's right.
All right, now quilters, be sure to check out our free Go Quilt tool to change the colorways of our patterns with solid colors and fabric collections from our sponsors. We're gonna look at alternatives using Go Quilt for the next few projects.
Okay.
So on the back wall, this is Posy Pathway by our good friend Terry Vandenbosch of
Lizard Creek Quilting, we almost lost a die there, sorry. And she's used Maywood fabrics,
Yes.
Maywood Studio fabrics, there we go.
Right, and this is the pattern that's on the packaging. And I just love it because it's scrappy and you can just make it look so pretty.
And there is a video on the website, so go to the Go Goose Tracks product page, scroll down to the bottom, and there's a link. You can see a video of Pam and I making this quilt.
Yes.
Love it. That one's just beautiful.
So let's take a look at it in a different color. There we go.
Look at this.
Look how different it is when you change it to this rainbow scrappy look with the black background.
Did our good friend Katie make these?
I bet she did.
She did. Good job, Katie. So this one is just a totally different, right? Because the black makes you look at the negative space. And again, those scrappy blocks. Oh,
And the colors just pop
so
much.
different.
I love it.
good job.
Well, the next one we're going to look at is the Go Goose Tracks tote bag by Melanie Call of A Bit of Scrap Stuff. She used Riley Blake fabrics, and this is Joy's favorite.
I love it. I love it.
This is so sweet.
Well, the pretty little chambray fabric, but you made a good point. You could use any block in
Yeah,
the center.
yeah, any 9-inch block
Right.
could go beautifully in there, and it's super simple. I did one of these in an afternoon
Right.
Yeah.
one day, and now it makes
But
a nice little shopping
It's
tote.
just the right size. Like you said, for a
is.
little shopping tote, or to stick your English paper piecing and your book and your bottle of water and a snack.
There you go. Some
Don't
chocolate.
leave home without it.
That'll be great.
So let's take a look at another colorway with that tote bag.
Oh, look at this.
See, again, how different is this when you go dark with that border?
Look at that. So pretty.
That is really sweet.
One for every season. It's just one
Good.
block in there.
It's just
so
the one block,
you
yeah.
really could have a lot of fun
Make them
with
for
it.
everybody for Mother's Day.
There you go.
All
Love
the
it.
peoples.
So the next one we've got is the Go Love Tracks Table Runner by Terry Vandenbosch of Lizard Creek Quilting, and she's used Northcott solids for this.
And she's turned it on point, so she's used our setting triangles But again, 3 little blocks make a perfect table runner. But look at the quilting. With
Okay, the hard quilting in the border, I
Good
love
job,
it.
Terry Vandenbosch.
And there's
Love it.
the
Take a
nice
look.
hanger on the back too, so not
did.
just a table runner. It could
Right.
also be a wall hanger.
I actually have a space, I had a space in my old, I need to
size.
decide a space
Yeah, that
for
that
wall
could hang in.
hangings like that, because I have some that size, it's nice.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful.
Fun.
All right,
Let's
let's take
take
a
a
look.
Oh, 4th of July.
There you go, totally different.
Totally different. And, oh, okay, so here's kind of a fun fact. Our free embroidery files can be downloaded to Quilt in Spacey. So you wouldn't have to use them as embroidery, you could just use them as quilting. So you could use our Go Nautical Medley die and you could embroider or quilt like ship's wheels or whatever.
Anchors, or
anchors
that would be
whatever.
so cool. Or the Go Stars die, that would be great for that too.
Be fun. Okay.
All right, so our last one, not least, because I love this one, is the Go Goose Tracks on Point Wall Hanging by Christina Brinkerhoff of Center Street Quilts.
Okay, and Christina, huge shout out to you, because in my quilting head, those 3 colors would never go together, but do they not look so cute?
They are adorable.
Love it.
And I love fabric with words.
Yes, and it's just 5 blocks. This is
Yeah.
totally a weekend project.
Yeah. Set on point, it's just beautiful.
Beautiful quilting on the back.
Oh, it is beautiful quilting on the back. It really
that.
shows up. I love that she used a light thread on the back so you could
Yes.
really see
It
it.
pops.
All right, let's take a look at it in a different color.
Oh my gosh, for
It's like Halloween. Pam's favorite.
Halloween.
Katie, you knew. You knew.
Oh, thank you, Katie. Because now we're going to do that for Halloween, and I am totally going to embroider like bats and stuff.
Ooh, yes.
Loadables.
Fun. Very cute.
Okay, good job,
Negative
Katie.
space. Okay.
All of these patterns are available as free downloads on the AccuQuilt website, so be sure to download your pattern before your die arrives. That way you'll be all ready to go.
All right, ladies, I'm going to go sew.
You
You
should.
have a great rest of the show.
Thank you.
Okay, we want to go sew too.
I love that Halloween
That
one.
was so you.
All right.
All right, quilters, voting is now closed, and we're about to announce today's expert winner. But first, we're going to give away our final prize of the day.
Oh, let's say thank you to one more quilter.
The lucky winner of another Go Goose Tracks die is, drum roll please, Barbara B. from Clarkson, Washington. Congratulations.
Barbara. All right, quilters, if you're like us and always looking for more inspiration, then be sure to join me every Wednesday at 12 noon Central Time for AccuQuilt Live. Tomorrow, we're going to use the Go Goose Tracks die to make that great lavender trellis
Yes.
project. I'm going to show you how to subcut, because that's a question we get all the time.
It is.
How do I subcut my fabric? Be sure to register for the show on our events page to be entered to win an exciting door prize.
That's
We have
right.
tons of fun. Hope to see you there. And I'm going to make a scrappy block. So excited. All right, and good news. For those of you going to Paducah, Kentucky for the AQS Quilt Week later this month, I will be at the Quilt in a Day booth on Thursday, April 28th at 11 a.m. Be sure to come by and say hi. It'll be so much fun. We'll take some pictures.
I will be here holding down the fort.
She will be.
All right.
She will be doing that.
I will. All right, quilters, the time has come. The team's counted all of your votes, and it's time to announce today's expert winner. Now, is it going to be Barbara with her Go Goose Tracks Martini table mat?
Or will it be Maryanne with her Go Flying Around the Tracks? Quilters, you voted and decided the winner is, drum roll please. It's Maryanne!
Congratulations!
Congratulations. Okay, both of those projects were really, really
Super
fun.
fun. They both be easy and quick to make. I love it.
All right, quilters, be sure to register for our upcoming live shows, including AccuQuilt Live on Wednesday, because we are drawing winners for our Spring into Quilting sweepstakes.
That's right. During each Tuesday event, we're announcing
Sometimes we
weekly
do
winners.
Thursday
Sometimes we
events.
do Thursday events of $100 in AccuQuilt reward points from our list of registrants.
And the sweepstakes grand prize winner of $500 in AccuQuilt reward points will be announced on the April 26th show.
Now, for each live event that you register for, you'll receive 1 entry into the grand prize drawing. So take advantage by registering for all of our shows.
And it's Tuesdays, so this week's winner of $100 in AccuQuilt reward points is, drum roll please, Jennifer C. of Caldwell, Idaho.
Congratulations.
South side of Boise. All right, quilters, be sure to join us again next Tuesday, April 19th at 12 noon Central Time for a launch party called Planting Roots. We will be revealing a new die that is bound to help your quilting grow. You don't want to miss out. This is a great die.
We're super excited.
Yep.
And if next Tuesday isn't quite soon enough for you, we have an educational class this Thursday, speaking of Thursdays,
Yes.
April 14th. Now, Pam is going to be sharing tips and tricks of our Go Cubes, and I will be moderating comments, chatting with all of you on Facebook. So be sure to register for this event on our website.
This is a great event, so if you ever have questions on how the cubes work
Yep.
or how they work together, it's going to be a great show.
That's right. Quilters, now remember, we've got special deals available for the relaunch of our die. Now, to get your order in during the show, use your phone's camera to capture the QR image. It'll take you right to the site.
And if you don't have a QR reader, no worries. Just open a new tab in your browser, type in accuquilt.com/party to see the bundle, place your order.
First off, remember we've got the individual Go Goose Tracks die. It's valued at $110, but you can get it today for just $89.99, saving you $20.
And next we have the Go Soaring 9-inch block on board die bundle. With this bundle, you get the Goose Tracks, which finish to 9 inches. Erica's favorite, the glorified 9 patch, and the Lemoyne Star. And you're going to get that Go Big 9.5-inch finish, or 9.5 finished square. This bundle is valued at $370, but you can get it today for only $274 and some change, saving you over $94. Remember, you need the Go Big electric fabric cutter to use that Go Big 9-inch finished square.
Great reminder. Quilters, when your order reaches $100 or more, use the promo code SAVEMY40 to take 40% off your order. Some exclusions apply, so check the website for details.
Now, listen, or take $200 off our Ready, Set, Go, which is our ultimate fabric cutting system. It has a cube and a strip die and all the mats you need. Or $200 off the Go Big fabric cutter with the promo code
Cut 200.
200. It's a fantastic offer if you're looking to upgrade. And if you're new to AccuQuilt, start looking at our system. Remember, you can only use 1 promo code per order, but you can make more than 1 order.
That's right.
And if you need more information about which cutter is right for you, stick around after the show to learn more about what we have available.
That's right. You can also find our products at your local AccuQuilt retailer. To find the retailer closest to you, check out the store locator. It's at the top of the page at accuquilt.com.
Remember, you can quilt now, pay later. Get financing today at accuquilt.com/financing.
All right, it's time for us to fly away and sew something because clearly we have to make scrappy blocks.
Apparently.
We hope you are as excited as we are about all the creative possibilities with the Go Goose Tracks die.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you've been waiting for our show to end before you buy, now's that time. Here's the link. Get everything you need while it's available.
And remember, at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time.
So you can quilt more. We'll see you Thursday.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have you met AccuQuilt's Go Me?